Hey there, just a quick message before you tune into the next episode. This is B. Wendy Jackson. Just a couple of changes. If you're interested in my books, I have two resources available on Amazon. You can search for me for the books at B. Wendy Bob. Two books will come up. They are amazing. They will help you experience hope and healing. And then there's an Empower to Empower You podcast, workbook or reflection workbook based on the podcast. As you listen to certain episodes, you can engage in deeper reflection. I really hope that those resources are going to add value to your lives, and I know that they will. If you're interested in services or how to connect with me, you can visit my new website. I have a new website, y'all. Oh my gosh. You can visit the new website, Against All Odds, P as in Paul, C as in Charlie, S as in Snake.com. Against All Odds, PCS.com. There you can subscribe to the newsletter. And you can also visit visit the website to learn how you can be a guest on the podcast, learn about the services that we have to offer, and many more. If you want to email me, you can email me at hello at against all odds. That's AGAIN as in Nancy, S as in Sam, TALLOD as in dog, D as in dog, S as in Sam, P as in Paul, C as in Charlie, S as in Sam or Snake.com. Hello at against all odds, PCS.com. Or you can email me at bwendyjacksonlcsw at outlook.com. See you later. Talk to you soon. Stay empowered. Enjoy the next episode. Well, hello, everyone. This is B. Wendy Jackson, your lovely host of the Empower to Empower You podcast. I am so excited to be here today. If you've been tracking with me since January 2020, thank you so much for those of you who have listened, subscribed, shared, as well as reviewed the podcast. If this is your first time tuning in, I want to thank you and welcome you. Empower to Empower You podcast is about all things Jesus Christ, mental health, or anything to help you become the better version of yourself and think differently. So I'm excited that you decided to tune into this episode. And I know that you will be encouraged because each episode is packed with information, insight, and inspiration. I'm excited about our guest today, y'all. Her name is Ebony Hines. She is a fun-loving Memphis native. She's an enthusiastic daughter of the Lord, and she's the owner of and founder of Find Your Upside Counseling Services, LLC. Ebony has the most contagious smile. She has a big personality. She loves life and loves people. She absolutely has a passion for helping clients become the better version of themselves. And she helps clients by finding the light in their lives in various circumstances. So I'm so excited to have her on the podcast as we talk about being intentional in about finding your upside. And she's going to talk a little bit more about that. So welcome, Miss Ebony.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Wendy.
You are so welcome. So listen, by the time this episode is aired, we will begin the month of April. You are episode 182. I'm so excited for that. I'm approaching the 200 mark. And so what's the most exciting thing in your life right now?
Oh, that's a two-part. So for the last 5 to 6 years, it's been a dream of mine to have my own private practice. And so I'm in the process of building that from the ground up. So that's part one. Part two, by the grace of God, I am about maybe a little less than 2 months away from wrapping up my doctorate.
Yeah.
And that in itself is just kind of wild for me. But the way that I've been able to move through this program has completely just been God's grace and favor. And yeah. So those are two things that are super exciting right now. So I'm happy about that.
Listen, I celebrate with you. That is amazing. I don't know if you have a different response for the next question, but what's in this current season, in this current as we approaching the second quarter,
Mhm.
what has been life-giving, what is life-giving for you even now?
I think honestly, it's just being able to recognize God's favor like everywhere.
Yeah.
There is, I just feel like everything that I do, I have his favor in it. And it just makes my life so much sweeter and so much easier. And I once heard somebody say, like, one of the definitions of prosperity is to do things in your life with ease. And when I think about my life,
Mhm.
I have to catch myself sometimes because I often feel guilty for how smooth and how easy things are for me sometimes in life. Um, so that's a oh, I go back and forth with that. But I have such ease in my life and such favor over my life. And sometimes it can be overwhelming, but it fills my heart with gratitude though.
I love that. Well, you are a daughter of the Most High God. It's part of your inheritance. Absolutely, I love that. So let's talk about this topic because I know that you're very passionate about this topic, finding your upside. You're so passionate. I believe that God gave you this name and you named your practice
Yeah.
Finding Your Upside, LLC. So let's talk about, what's the story behind the phrase finding your upside?
Well, again, this is a God thing. It was something he pointed out to me. So it's so crazy to think 5 years ago, I was randomly standing in my closet. I don't even know what I was doing, if I was hanging something up, clean, I don't know. But I was in my closet just standing one night and I just heard, you should name your counseling center Find Your Upside. And I was like, I turned around, like, because I'm like, I know that was God. And I'm like, I love that. That was the first thing out of my mouth. I,
Wow.
I love that. And as I just kind of sat with it, I was just like, oh wow, because I had like some little random basic name, like that I had chose for my private practice. Whenever I got to that point, but um, if he said it, no question came to me. It was an immediate, just like, yes, I love this so much. And he reminded me, he's like, you say it all the time, and like I think I never realized it until then. And so what came to mind was like him pointing it out that I say it often. I began to think about being in sessions with clients and like, something may have been going, wrong or just not the way that they intended. And I was like, but the upside is like before I know it, it comes out of my mouth so easily. Like it's literally a part of my everyday life. It's something that I've adopted because at any moment something may not be as you want it or as you desire, or something might be horrible, but it's like, okay, this is not ideal right now, but what is my upside in this? And so I often think about going through this journey of with the doctoral program. While it has been a pretty smooth process. I've been able to just be graced to move through it the way that I have. But I'll say, like, for instance, I was fighting to graduate in December. And it was just like, okay, this is not ideal, but the upside is you'll be out in
Mhm.
May. Like finding the good or finding light in anything that appears to be negative or that appears to be contrary or that's just not good in the moment. What is the upside? What is the light at the end of the tunnel that you can lay your eyes on? And I'm not saying it's gonna always be easy to find it, but
Mhm.
intention, you can do it.
Yeah, yeah, I love that. So it's almost like a perspective shift
Always.
um, technique, right? Like this not I don't want to say almost like reframing, thought challenging, finding, changing your perspective,
Yeah,
looking at something differently, and it sounds like you believe that we can always do that regardless of the circumstances. And so when people
absolutely.
hear that, it doesn't mean that you don't acknowledge what you feel. Like you don't acknowledge the difficulty, the hardship, the pain, the
Yep,
like you acknowledge it. You feel it, what you feel. And after we're done processing, okay, we can't stay there, is
absolutely.
what I'm right.
Absolutely. Spot on. I love I always say one of the greatest things you can do for somebody is to shift their perspective. And like me and you know, I'm being in the therapy world, like reframing is a part of our skill set that we offer to clients. And so yeah, shifting, learning, helping somebody shift their perspective is sometimes one of the best things you can do. I love when I hear a client say, I'm so glad you introduced it that way, or I'm so glad you gave me this perspective. That's my job here. So I'm happy to do it.
Absolutely. I love to do that. So let's talk a little bit about what are some strategies that you use to help people find their upside?
So it goes back to gratitude. It's like, okay, not ideal, but all right, what can I focus on that's in my control right now? Because finding your upside is always within your control. That's something nobody could ever take away from you. And
Mhm.
so it's like once you grasp that concept, you're able to move forward. So starting with gratitude, what can you be grateful for? Because as soon as you can recognize that and pinpoint that, you've
Yeah.
already found the light in your circumstances
Hmm.
just that fast. So that is the go-to strategy. Like, that's it.
I love that. Yeah. And so let's say a person is struggling with identifying what they're grateful for because maybe their lens are so dimmed by hopelessness,
Yeah.
despair. And in the moment, they're telling you, listen, I've been through so much hardship. I don't even know how I'm going to pay the next counseling session. I don't even know how I'm going to continue on to the next day because I don't even see myself moving through. I don't even see myself being able to get through this.
Mhm.
How do you navigate that with someone who's presenting with hopelessness and feels defeated?
Yeah. So something I love to do is encourage, but also remind people that all seasons in our life serve a purpose. It's something we got to walk away with. When we getting ready to transition into that new season, we're leaving with something, or we should, because sometimes they can lead to repeated lessons when we don't get it. But I would definitely say just remembering all seasons serve a purpose is something that we're supposed to be leaving with when we getting ready to transition. But I would also lead with the question of right now this is hard. Right now this sucks. And I'm in agreement with you. Everything you're feeling right now, I validate for you. However, I want to know, do you want to stay here or are you interested in pushing through to get to your better? Because something I've sat with over I'm gonna say maybe the last 6 months was coming to terms with the fact that sometimes when we go through really, really hard seasons, difficult things, um the things that are waiting for us on the other side, we can't get to those until we go through those hardships and those tough moments. And it's like I think that's one of life's hardest lessons. But I think again, the easier we grasp it, the sooner we can process and start moving towards that. So I would say just to be a reminder, all seasons they have a purpose. It's something we're supposed to be taking away from those. But I would also say making that decision, do you want to stay or do you want to move forward so that you can get to your better, because better is always available.
Yeah, that's good. You remind me as you was talking, I think about the story where Jesus encounters this man who's been paralyzed for about 40 years,
Mhm.
40 years. And essentially, Jesus asked the question, do you want to be healed? Right? Like, and so I thought about that story as you're saying that.
Yeah.
There's a decision to be made.
Mhm.
I appreciate that you also mentioned that sometimes, not sometimes, we have to go through to get past to the other side. We may have to go through the storm, we may have to go through the hardship, we may have to go through the difficulty to get to that place. And we need to zoom in to what am I supposed to learn here?
Mhm.
What am I supposed to grasp here? What is what how is this what, what am I supposed to get right in this difficult space?
Yeah.
So I want to just kind of ask you, how do you do that? And maybe it's fair that I ask, what are your ideal presented issues for clients coming to to Finding Your Upside LLC, right? Like what are the ideal presented issues that clients may come with?
A lot of clients are coming with depression,
Mhm.
um, because life has hit them like a ton of bricks. A lot of clients are coming with anxiety. A lot of them are simply in life transitions. A lot of them are dealing with self-confidence issues. But I would also say a lot of people are coming because of issues in their relationships. So I feel like I'm back and forth between those kind of 4 to 5 different issues. Those have been the most common for me. Uh, yeah, so I would say, yeah, those stand out the most at this point.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Have you experienced where it was very difficult to help somebody find their upside? Maybe you did a timeline, or maybe you explored, maybe the person presented with relationship conflicts or life transition or self-confidence, and you realize, oh my gosh, there's some unresolved trauma, there's some unresolved grief.
Yes.
You know, yeah, talk about the difficulty of helping them find their upside when they have unprocessed pain that has to be processed.
Mm. Yeah, I can think of a client right now that has just been struggling, and not more so maybe a year or two, but it's more so I say almost 10 years now. It's just been one thing after another. And so I think a lot of the difficulty can come in when clients are in therapy, they're in the process, but they sometimes are resistant to practicing the skills that they're being taught. And so that'll keep you in the spiral when you have the solution for something, but you won't use it. So that makes it a little bit difficult. Um, and that's one of the reasons this particular client, like, she's struggling because it's like almost it makes you think about when Peter was walking on the water and like Jesus is saying, come to me, like him, and he starts walking, but then in that moment of his faith wavering just a little bit, he fell down. And
Yeah,
so with this particular client, anytime life throws something, it's like, oh, I gotta shut down versus, okay, how do I overcome, how do I fight in this moment, what have I learned that can help me and assist me with this. So
yeah, yeah.
sometimes
That's
we
a good,
can be,
good. Yeah.
sometimes we can be our um ooh, I guess you could say our own downfall, or sometimes we are our own hindrance getting from one point to the next, if you will.
Absolutely. And I even question, like, I don't know if it's necessarily a resistance,
Mhm.
but sometimes it is fear, right? Sometimes
Yeah,
it's a motivation issue because there are several stages of motivation. So we may want to be in action stage, but they may be in pre-contemplation.
yeah, yeah.
And so it may look like resistance, but sometimes we have to even explore the resistance and
Mhm.
be curious about the resistance to figure out what are the ingredients here, what's going on,
Yeah.
what's up, right? Like what's up? Like I'm here. You came to therapy. I'm here to help you, but
Mhm.
but I noticed that we're going backward a little bit. We were regressing instead of progressing. Let's talk about that. Let's get into it, right? For sure. So those things I could see how they could be very, very difficult. Let's kind of switch gears a little bit because I could talk to you for a long time. Uh, but for the sake of time, let's talk about your counseling, your resources, and talk a little bit about Finding Your Upside LLC and where's it located? How talk about that for a second.
So, Find Your Upside Counseling Services is serving the great state of Tennessee. This is a fully virtual private practice, and I provide services for individuals, for couples, for families, for groups, and I see children, adolescents, adults, and everybody else in between. Like I'm one of those therapists. I work well with everybody, and I don't take that lightly. really grateful for that. Because at one point I didn't know what it would be like to deal with adults because my very first therapist position was a school therapist. And so I was all things kids, everything like from the ages of 5 up to 18. So I had everybody as far as like children are concerned, but I'm grateful that I got introduced to working with adults and just having a different variety of clients to be able to serve. So that is something that is going to be beneficial as I'm building my private practice. But I'm excited to, to serve Tennessee, and I look forward to expanding to different states once I start those processes. But as of now, fully virtual. Um, and building from the ground up. I'm excited to help people learn to shift their perspectives on their life and to just be able to find light in their different circumstances because life is going to throw some stuff at you, but it's all about how you see it. And so that would be like my cut and dry of find your upside.
I love it. So where can people find you? Where do people find you?
So I am I'm very active on social media with Facebook, but also with Instagram. I am a lot of laughs, but also a lot of encouragement and a lot of Jesus. So on Facebook, simple, I am Ebony Hines. You probably will see a big smile in my profile picture. Otherwise, it might not be me. And then on Instagram, I am Ebony Sugar, no R. So that's how you can find me on the social media platforms. Basically.
Yeah, website, business website, or anything like that?
So my business website, let me pull.
And if not, we can get it afterwards and I can add it on the show notes.
Okay. So it is, if you're looking to email me about services, you can email me at ebony@findyourupsidecounselingservices.com. If you are looking to schedule an appointment or a consultation, you can find me at findyourupsidecs.clientsecure.me.
Okay, awesome. Well, I will get that information from you and then add it on the show notes so people can contact you, connect with you, schedule a consultation, and work with you as well to help them move forward. Is there anything else as we move towards the end that you would like to share that maybe I didn't ask you, Ebony?
I would just say I am a cheerleader of all things self-esteem. And I was gifted an idea by God about 2 years ago, I think. And it was an idea to create a self-esteem journal. So that was actually published last year. So there is a self-esteem journal called Find Your Upside by yours truly. And it's on everybody's favorite store, aka Amazon. So you can find it on Amazon and have it in 2 days if you would like to start a journey with self-esteem. I think it's a great tool to use, and it's all about finding out who you are based on what your creator says about you. And so it's filled with scripture, it's filled with journal prompts and um, great self-esteem, like quotes to just kind of uplift you and remind you of who you are. And not to let anything and anybody else in this world tell you who you are. So
I love it. I love it. If you want to take a minute to just encourage somebody that's finding it difficult to just maybe dealing with some hardship, dealing with some trials, maybe some even trauma or just death or violence has affected them, just any difficult hardships or pain.
mm.
If you just take a minute can you just take a minute to just encourage that person?
So I'll start by saying that no matter what it looks like right now, God always has better available for you. Going to him is the safest place that you can be, the most protected place you can be, but it's also the most prosperous place you can be. staying safe with him, it is a game changer for your life. Seeking him on what you need to do and what it is that you need to learn at this particular point in your life is what's going to be the thing to keep you above ground, to keep you moving. So those would be my words of encouragement.
Amen. Well, Ebony, I am so thankful that you got to share this space with me. I'm excited for you. I'm happy for you.
Thank you.
And absolutely, y'all, I'm going to put the information in the show notes. You've got to connect with Ebony, get the self-esteem journal, blow her up. She will respond. Connect with her on Facebook, connect with her on IG, connect with her on her website. Hey, you know somebody that needs to go ahead and get started with their overall mental health and just their overall wellness. And so connect with her so that you can find your upside and move forward in freedom, in freedom. So this is B. Wendy Jackson. Thank you again, Ebony, for joining the podcast today. And I'll be back next time. Yes, ma'am. I'll be back next time with another empowering conversation. Bye bye for now. Have a great week on purpose.
Bye, y'all.